First, I'll say,
good segue.
Great question. I was going to say B segue.
Great.
A question, B segue.
He's right, actually. I was trying to be nice.
This week we're joined by Cam, Tim, and Kevin of Midwest Coast Brewing. This is episode 109 of The Malting Hour.
What's the haps on the hops? Got yeast, that's bees. This the Malting Hour where we talk about our drink and tell you what we think every other week. And if we get drunk, well, we might slur our speech. Got the gift of gab, the friends you wish you had. Join us for a drink, join us for a laugh. Time is never wasted, where you getting wasted. The Malting Hour here, people take your places. People take your places. People take your home.
Welcome to The Malting Hour. I am one of your hosts, Tony Golick, joined always with
Brandon Winninger.
and
Danny Pollock.
welcome back, Dan.
Thank you.
Where you been?
Sick kids.
That's
I
it?
kind of forget what else. I was sick once.
That's how long you've been gone?
Yeah.
We are here at Midwest Coast Brewing in Chicago, and we are joined by, if you guys want to go around the table.
Sure. I'm Cameron Compton. I'm the owner and a brewer here.
Timothy Ficken, I'm the brewery manager here.
And Kevin O'Brien, I brew and handle all the cellar work.
Right on. Thanks, guys, for having us here in this gloomy Sunday morning, not so warm as it was yesterday. It's perfect time for a brown ale that I'm drinking, I feel like. So we've been hanging out for a little bit this morning. Why don't you guys, whoever wants to go, give us a little bit of background on Midwest Coast?
Yeah, sure. I guess I'll take that one. This brewery started on paper in March of 2017. It's when we first filed our LLC paperwork. It took us a little bit of time to get this place up and running, working through the city, working through all the building permits and construction permits and everything like that. Ultimately opened our doors in September of 2019 was our grand opening. The whole idea kind of started with we wanted to, at the time, if you think back about craft beer, a lot was going pretty wild. It was a lot of, which is great, by the way. A lot of new styles. Hazies were all the rage at the time, and still kind of are. And we just kind of wanted to make good classic style beer, which we felt was kind of missing from the craft beer industry at the time. So that is what I say we focus on and what I say we do best.
Yeah, I think it's a good point right there of you're saying, like, there's, especially like when we got into craft beer, it was all, just kind of, like double IPAs were a big deal. I'm 41, so double IPAs when I first started getting into craft beer, I was like, oh my God, a double IPA? I remember we were talking about this yesterday. We were at a Beer on the Wall in Park Ridge, and I forgot what beer that I had. I'm like, man, this reminds me of when I had Hop Stupid for the first time from Lagunitas. And then to go to where we're at now, where fucking smoothie beers.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking that. That's fine, but it's
There's a market for it.
Yeah, there's a market for it, but it's nice. Like, I feel like being in Chicago, have a chance, or with so many breweries, you can go to different places to get different things, and you guys doing what you do here is a much welcome and needed type of brewery.
I completely agree. I got into craft beer 2010, 2011, sometime around there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the IBU wars. How high can we get this number?
Yeah.
So I still have a soft spot for those.
Sure,
That's
sure.
what introduced me to them. But yeah, we just, we English ales. I got a German alt beer in front of me, American browns, things like that.
I'm a huge fan of brown ales, and anybody who listens to the show knows that I am. I try to talk to other breweries about making brown ales, and they just don't sell as well. But you guys seem to be doing okay because I see it on the shelves and I get it.
You can come here. It's our biggest wholesale beer in the wintertime.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's such an underrated style of beers.
That's what introduced me to you guys. I remember seeing it was a brown ale, and I was like, what? And then I saw that was an ESB, and I was talking to somebody who was working here the first time I came, and they were like, yeah, it's an ESB, but we call it an English sporting beer because when people see extra special bitter, they're like, it's a deterrent because of the word bitter. So it's smart marketing choice, but I like that beer a lot too.
Yeah, that was a beer, the ESB, I think that's the only beer that we haven't tweaked the recipe since day one.
Yeah, I think because we made it, that was you had your set of beers that you wanted to make.
Yeah, brown ale's basically the same, just kind of tweaked a little bit. not majorly, but a little bit. But ESB was, I think, the first one we sat down and did together.
Because so we sat down and it was funny. That was just a beer. He was like, we had 12 taps. We had 6 beers that you wanted to make, and we were like, all right, what else are we gonna do to fill out the tap list? And I was like, well, I want an ESB because it's like my favorite style. And at the time, Goose had kind of just stopped doing honkers, and
good timing for you.
For us, great timing. And
totally on purpose.
We also kind of thought, when we made it, I honestly thought we were going to make it. It was going to be a taproom beer. It was going to be kind of probably one and done kind of style, and it is. We won an award for it at GBF a couple years ago, and it's year round our best selling beer.
I have a buddy, so I've been here for 2 of my birthdays, and I have a buddy who's from Stoke, and he's big into English beers, and I introduced him. I was like, we got to go to this place, I want to show you the ESBs and stuff, and he loved it. So he was buying, I think he bought a couple packs to bring, because he lives up in Evanston, so it's a little bit of a hike, but he said he was going to be looking for it, so it's got the approval of an Englishman.
Well, there we go.
I've gotten that a couple times at some fests, and my favorite thing that they tell me, and they've all told me this, is this is really good. It's just too cold. I'm like,
too cold, too carbonated.
Like, I wish
that makes sense.
I wish we could sell it as a cask beer. No one would buy it or drink it.
I mean, if you did a cask special, I'm sure you'd have some people be
and
weirded out on that.
We've been in talks about that recently, kind of just
Awesome.
maybe
That would be
a little bit.
That'd be fun.
But yeah, it's always funny when they say that. I'm like, I get that that's how people drink beer in England. It's not how it works in the U.S.
So, when did you get into? Like, did you start as a home brewer?
Yeah.
Actually, that's a good question to go for all you guys. You guys all started as home brewers, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Kevin and I definitely did. Did you start as a home
Yeah,
brewer first?
I mean, yeah,
You've been in
so-
the brewing industry since you graduated college.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I homebrewed with a buddy in college, but I never really thought I was gonna like super get into beer outside of drinking it. And then I graduated, moved home, kind of was doing odds and ends, kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do.
It's funny because that's like the opposite of what every home brewer thinks. They're like, I'm gonna fucking open a brewery now. I made my first great batch of beer. No one's gonna ever top this.
Well, I didn't know, I didn't know how to even get into it.
Sure.
I was 22, and who knows. And then, I literally was sitting on the couch, and my dad was like, "Hey, I was in Atlanta at the time, because that's where I grew up." And my dad was like, "Hey, this brewery that I follow on Twitter posted like a job posting," and I applied, got it, and I labeled bottles once a week for a couple weeks, and then they asked if I wanted to clean kegs, so I came in once a week to do bottles, once a week to clean kegs, and they did a toasted coconut porter was their kind of big beer, and so they're partners with the restaurant next door, and they were like, "Do you want to come in every Wednesday morning and toast coconut?" I was like, "Sure." So I started it, literally laying on bottles, and after a few months, I was 3 days a week, then full time, and I was there for about a year. Moved up here, worked at Short Fuse for about a year and a half, and then I've been here ever since. So it's going on 4 years this June. Yeah.
Can I ask what the Georgia brewery was?
I was going to say the same thing.
Cherry Street Brewing. They're in like North Georgia, like North Atlanta.
I'm from Florida, so I type like that southeast. I'm
Gotcha.
just curious if I knew them.
They're really good. They make some really good stuff. I think they're barrel-aged. That U.S. what is it, the U.S. Beer Open competition? They won it, like the Grand National Champions while I was there, and their barrel aging program is insane. Like they make some insanely good barrel aged beer. They're just small. They got 2 breweries in Georgia. They just opened a brewery in Chattanooga a little while ago. I can't recommend them enough if you ever see them. They make everything, and they make everything very well.
I'll have to keep that in mind. My sister lives in Georgia. I lived in Georgia for a short amount of time in like northern Georgia, like Fulton County area.
Yeah.
So
That's where they are. I think. Yeah. Like
even easier now.
Yeah.
Now I know where to go. I'm gonna text my sister and tell her to bring me some beer.
Yeah.
What about you?
I started as a home brewer. Literally just looking for weekend hobbies once I graduated college. My roommate and I at the time thought it would be something fun to try. At the time, like there wasn't a lot of information on the internet about home brewing. I had this theory that I would be brewing in the bathtub or something like that. Like I heard that from someone. Someone makes
that's
beer in their
moonshine.
bathtub. Yeah, never have to this day, which is probably good.
You never know. I was gonna say.
Yeah, but you know, the first batch we made was straight from a homebrew kit. You know, we followed the instructions to a T. Wasn't bad, wasn't great. It was an Irish red. Because it wasn't bad, my roommate and I at the time got way too big for our britches and figured we could do anything we wanted, and made, I can't remember if it was an American or an English brown ale as our second one, and it was abysmal. And we just poured all 5 gallons down the drain.
That's a bummer when that happens. Yeah.
Probably an infection or something like
Sure.
that. We have no idea. It was terrible. So over the years, just got better and better, brewing better techniques. You know, understanding the ingredients a little better, understanding how they all go together, and then ultimately I was looking at leaving the company I was at when I was living in San Francisco, and thinking, am I just going to go work for another tech company? You know, what am I going to do? And my older sister and then girlfriend, now wife, just ultimately pushed me like, hey, you've been talking about this for, at that time, 7 years. Why don't you, pull the trigger on it and see what we can do? So decided where we wanted to live. I went to work for, kind of a year-long crash course in what professional brewing was like with a family friend of ours in Virginia, Charlottesville, Three Notch Brewery, great brewery out there. A family friend of ours was the owner there, and he basically just let me come in for, 3-4 weeks at a time over the course of a year and just get a crash course in every aspect of the brewing business and what it was like professionally.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from those guys. They do a great job. They're still doing a great job. They've got 4 or 5 locations around Virginia now.
Cool.
And
I
maybe,
realize
yeah, they've
multiple yeah.
made a few satellite places out there, and they're just a very well-run business, and they make great beer. So yeah, I was kind of coming back here, looking for places, looking for buildings, going out there for 3-4 weeks at a time, learning another aspect of the brewing industry, and ultimately found this place and got the show on the road.
Right on.
Yeah.
So I don't want to skip you, but for
We're not going to
picking
talk to you
Chicago.
again.
Totally fine.
You're up to second. You're the
So,
second half.
You were in San Fran. Obviously, it's tech industry boom, and then you were working in Virginia.
Yep.
How'd you pick Chicago, and then more specifically, like Westtown near United Center? I know, obviously, now it's sort of like a oasis of breweries over here.
Yeah.
But in 2017, it may not have been. And I don't know when you found the spot, but it may not have been as big. I don't think at the time.
No,
Like,
so
Goose.
You still had Goose on tour, Great Central.
yeah, those
I think for
Great Central hadn't opened yet.
I couldn't remember when on tour stuff.
Didn't you open at the time?
So at the time there was a
that whole.
well at the time there was
Which location?
There was a different breweries whose name was painted on that building, which was like Mines. Finch didn't move in there for a bit, but yeah, we settled on Chicago. Ultimately, my wife and I didn't. We just wanted to get out of California.
Which is the opposite of what most people in Chicago would want to do. Like, I want
Right.
to go to Chicago, maybe go
Growing
to
up there,
coast.
the Bay Area had changed a lot, tech in some good ways and bad, but it didn't seem like it was the same place we wanted to grow up. Susie, my wife, had never lived outside of California, really, other than being born in what's now Ukraine, and then coming over here when she was about a year old.
Yeah.
So she never knew life outside of California. She wanted to try something new. I went to Notre Dame, so I had a ton of friends out in the Chicago area. We'd been out here, a ton before. It's funny, we were looking at back recently, just thinking about where we wanted to live. Up until that point where we decided that it was going to be Chicago, we were looking back at photos in our iPhone or something, like the whole spring, summer of 2016, we just realized we had been out here a lot, and according to the photos, they were all glorious weather weekends. And, like, we've been out here with friends, like looking at all these photos and like drinking beers outside, doing all this stuff. And only in the past year, I was like, I wonder if all those trips had a lot to do with the fact that we were like, Chicago's pretty great, and it is, and Chicago is great. And at the time, it seemed like it was really kind of this whole groundswell of breweries were getting ready to open or had just opened in Chicago, and
Yep.
it seemed like it was going to be a big craft beer city, which turns out it has. You know, at the time, I think like Dovetail was fairly new, and all the like Beguile I think was fairly new. So it was just like all these things were starting, and it seemed like maybe there's something to Chicago in the craft beer scene. And we decided on this neighborhood because, yeah, like Tim said, there were breweries opening around here, and we'd gotten the advice from a lot of people that breweries do well in proximity to other breweries.
Yeah.
So we wanted to, we had a few different pockets we were looking at, and just kind of the timing of when certain buildings were available and stuff like that. This building came up and was at a reasonable price that we could get. So it's a sweet old building. It's nearly 100 years old. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, we talked about it before we started recording about what it looks like in here. And it looks like the first thing I thought of, because I saw plants. My wife loves plants. Like, she is like the plant person in the entire world. Like, if anybody loves plants more than her, I'd be shocked. When I walked in, I'm like, she would absolutely love just coming in here.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, like the whole layout and the building itself, when you guys were showing us, it's a fantastic spot. I think you guys chose the right place to be at the right time.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, we'd seen this building a couple times, and not that I'm huge into a fate thing, but we just kept driving past here again, like, this one was pretty sweet. Like, this one was pretty cool, and we'd see other spots, in the neighborhood or out of the neighborhood, and we just found ourselves kept coming back here, probably for a reason.
Do you know what was in this building before the brewery? Do you know?
So for, I think, the 10 or so years prior, it was just kind of storage for a events company. They would store all their broken down stages and lighting and that sort of thing here. And it was vacant for a while before that. And then I think from like the 50s or 60s to the 90s, it was a rust proofing factory. Mm-hmm. And then prior to that, what it was originally built for in the late 20s, we're not totally sure. The records are not super great for the city of Chicago, but we know based on some aerial photography that in like 1925, these were all single-family homes on this stretch of West Walnut.
Oh, okay.
And then by like 1929, which is the next set of aerial photographs we could find, there are elements of this building. So it got built over stages, probably over 10, 15 years, something like that. What for originally? Not sure. Not sure.
But here we are.
Yeah.
And I love the ceiling. The ceiling is going to sound weird, but it's almost like the bottom of a boat. Like, I feel like I'm like looking up at the bottom of a boat.
That's what it is.
It's built the same way. Yeah, it's built in a very similar fashion.
I mean, you're the king of bottoms of the boats. I mean,
It's funny,
what it looks
and
like, right?
we'll get into this, but looking at the ceiling, we were talking about the second floor, and I'm just looking up, I'm like, where is there a second floor? And then you've got that whole other little
side step.
Yeah, little side step that kind of builds out. But I guess that moves into the next question. You guys are you've been in here since 2017, and now you're expanding within the building. You kind of talk about the plans for that. And
yeah, so we've been working on this basically since we opened. Excuse me. Getting the ability to put a second floor and roof deck on this building. We've got a killer view of the skyline from the west, the Chicago skyline, and it's just, we all know Chicago. The weather was nice up till today.
Yeah.
Once the weather turns nice in Chicago, people want to be outside drinking beers as elevated as they possibly can.
And even today, with it being like cloudy and it still looked nice going up.
Yeah.
There. Take a look, but on clear days with the sun out,
it's spectacular. Awesome. Yeah. So we've been working with the city over the last 3+ years now on getting all the various zoning stuff needed and all that sort of thing, getting the plans,
hoops you got
to jump through to make it happen.
It's a familiar story with
many
breweries.
We're getting we're getting close. We're hopefully going to be able. We got one more hearing with the city on Friday.
Sweet.
And that's basically just a formality. And from there, we should be able to get our building permit and get started. Once we get that building permit, we can get rolling. The construction crew is ready to go.
Wow, awesome.
It's the same guys who did all the original build out They've given us like a 12 to 14 week build, so I'm hoping by late summer, early fall, we can get people up there. TBD. It is the city of Chicago. Things could always come up.
Sure.
But the road, the roadmap from here to there is pretty clear at this point. So
that's awesome.
I just got to check a few more boxes. There's going to be a great indoor space up there. We get a ton of requests for private events, and we hate closing down the tap room.
Sure.
So that's going to be a really great opportunity to do private events, that sort of thing, and the roof deck is just going to be a really nice.
I think having the being able to have a second floor is, for exactly like you said, like private events is so awesome.
Yeah.
As what Rev's Brew Pub, they do the one in Milwaukee. They do the actual weddings and stuff. I've been to 2 weddings up there.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it's like never would have thought in a million years. It's so much fun, but while we're waiting, we're just downstairs, drinking beers at the bar.
Yeah.
And then by the time you go upstairs, they don't have to shut anything down. All the locals can still go and hang out there without, having to find someplace else because it's shut down for events. So
Yeah.
It's a smart idea, especially for
I'm not sure we want to do weddings.
Sure. I mean, private events.
That's what next door.
Yeah.
We share the building with a wedding space.
Yeah. I'm going to renew my vows here. Thank you. Hey, Kevin.
Oh, hey. How are you?
Good. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Real quick, did you start off as a home brewer also?
Yes.
The reason why I asked that, when Brandon and I first started doing the show, the main thing was we're home brewers, so we like talking about home brewing, and then it kind of built into also talking to breweries, and then it turned into more of we're talking to breweries and people in the industry and drinking beer with them. So
yeah.
we always go back to that.
Yeah, so I guess I was a little more circuitous to getting to home brewing. So I originally got into beer as far as Cam and I are the same age. So we came up at the same time, like we were talking about the hop wars, kind of everyone was all about hops. And so when I was getting into drinking beer, it was more about the drinking side and not so much the actual beer side. And I had a buddy of mine who is now the head brewer over at Brother Chimp out in North Aurora, my buddy Sam. He actually got me into the beer brewing process. He was one of my friends in college. We were in school, and him and his roommate were brewing beers a bunch, and they wanted to upgrade to a full 15-gallon kegel system. And I was the only engineer that they were buddies with, and they were like, "Hey, can you help us?" They were a history major and an English major. Can you help us design a semi-auto, with the pump system and everything? Sure. And I was like, sure. And so I did a crash course online of reading stuff how the brewing process works. Because at the time, all I was doing was really drinking, not so much making it. And so through that, through Sam, I learned the brewing process. And then I had my college roommates were chemistry majors, so they brewed, and I would help them, but never really took my hands-on side of it, and kind of would pop in to help other buddies homebrew for the next 5 or 6 years. I didn't really get into homebrewing myself, proper, until probably 2018. 2017, 2018, when I really started homebrewing myself, and homebrewed a bunch. COVID was great for me because I had a lot more free time to really homebrew. And then, during COVID, I was working at a pharmaceutical. I did engineering and stuff for years and years, and homebrewed on the side, and then worked for a pharmaceutical company during COVID, and decided I didn't want to live that life anymore, and stay in that world, and wanted to move to craft beer. And Cam and Tim took a flyer on me, because that's a problem. If you don't come right out of college or something, you kind of just have to assume someone's leap of faith, right?
Yeah.
Someone's
this'll work.
Because all I'm saying, all I can tell them is, I've been homebrewing for 4 years.
Yeah, but
please
you also
trust me.
be fair to yourself. You also worked on the manufacturing side of a pharmaceutical company.
The thing that he leaves out is that the processes are very similar, and a lot of the terminology was very similar. So when he came over, and we're talking CIP procedures, SOPs. That wasn't a foreign language to you. You knew, it just was kind of teaching you how to do it, but with beer. Which is actually helpful. Which is just a more relaxed version, because you have to be way cleaner when you're making pharmaceuticals. Not that we're not clean, but we're not that level of. We're not wearing hazmat suits and going through like we're not doing that. So
So we can start.
we can it's gonna get really warm back in there.
Yeah, never mind. We'll start in October.
Yeah. So that's it was home brewing, making drugs, actually working for a drug development company, and then decided to
That sounds cool,
my
just in
side
general.
make my side gig my side hobby my profession. They took the flyer on me, so I'm very appreciative.
We're pretty happy with that decision
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
one of the biggest things Kevin's brought to us is the biggest hole in our game up to Kevin starting was our yeast management for sure.
Yeah.
And it sucks that that's your biggest hole because that's like one of the most important things you can possibly
It's
do,
also
if not the most important.
It's also
thing.
one of the biggest costs.
It's a big
in
cost.
making a
Yeast
beer.
is so expensive. So Kevin's done a great job of kind of revitalizing our yeast management program, propping stuff up in a clean, sanitary way, getting to enough yeast cells to make good, proper beer, just here in-house as opposed to having to buy fresh pitches.
Yeah, even the average beer drinker probably doesn't realize how important. I mean, like a lot of beer nerds in general know how
Right.
important the yeast is, and home
Oh,
brewers
but
and brewers know. But like, it's insane.
It's
like
insane.
how much.
Yeah.
I mean, even just doing a simple experiment of like if you have your own house yeast or buying it, having two different strains, and totally. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing it on the level as you guys do of like making sure that like it's consistent. Like it's your consistent strains that you're using.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a house yeast now that you have been kind of cultivating?
We got an American yeast, USO5. We use for pretty much anything American.
It's the best.
It's
a workhorse.
It really is.
And everybody uses British 5 for their hazies. We use it for ESB, which helps prop it up for our hazies.
Nice.
But then, I mean, that's pretty much anything else. We've started to kind of prop up from smack packs. If we're trying to do homebrew smack packs, if we're trying to do our one-offs like our Belgian beer
Sure.
or like alt shop, like alt beer, anything that's doesn't really fit into the British or the USO5 is kind of that we just do that so that we can save a little money.
And then we sort of keep a German lager strain going because we do a different lager in the summer than we do in the winter, but we use the same yeast strain for it, so we just have to use it a lot less because, as we were talking about before,
Yeah.
the lagers take forever.
Yeah, that's kind of a quietly rotating house yeast that we really don't have to turn over very often.
Kev's always propping up like USO5 or propping up the British yeast strain we use for our hazies and stuff, and every 2.5 months, something about the lager yeast comes up.
We should probably do that.
Yeah.
We can make another one of them. Well, we're going to take a quick break because this is normally when we do it, and now I've got an ad I have to run in between stuff for one more week.
I think we'll need beers.
Yeah, we need another beers, and we'll come right back and finish up the conversation here.
Meals on Wheels Chicago presents Chicago on Tap, Thursday, April 27th at Theater on the Lake, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Join us for a night of beer and bites from over 20 of Chicago's top breweries and restaurants and help raise crucial funds to feed our neighbors in need. You'll get to try 60+ of the local brews and sample delicious food, all while supporting a good cause. This is an event you won't want to miss. To get your tickets, go to mealsonwheelschicago.org, click on events, and look for Chicago on Tap. And if you'd like to save $15 on your ticket with a promo code, be sure to email us at info@themaltinghour.com and put Chicago on Tap in the subject, and we'll send you the promo code. Cheers, and hope to see you there.
And we're back.
Welcome back.
We've
We're
been
here.
back.
I can't wait to go through it. I have to edit this today before I leave for work. Welcome back. We're here at Midwest Coast Brewing. Dan, you just had a really good question. Repeat.
I was just asking if there's a style or anything that they're like a direction that they're wanting to go, or like what's in the future as far as beer styles go.
I think
Go
we're
around the table. What's everyone's one they want to make?
So I don't know if there's anything that I want to make. I'm really looking forward to our batch 500.
You want to talk about what we've always talked about for doing
So
for that beer?
we're talking about doing an old school traditional like dark, like English dark, English mild, like first runnings runoff.
Oh yeah.
Boiling it, sending it into our small tank, and then finishing it up with mild. And
Yeah, basically very old school.
very old
English
school
technique.
English.
Get 2 beers out of one mash bill.
And just I we talked about that probably a year ago, and I can't wait for batch 500 to get there. We're at like 300 and something. Right?
We're three. So we're 350s somewhere.
We're probably a year-ish away. I mean, we're
like
bumping
that.
up. We're definitely ramping production up.
Yeah.
But I haven't really. Oh, the one beer I'm trying to workshop for next Christmas is I want to do like a chocolate peppermint stout.
Yeah. It's my wheelhouse. I love fun shit like that.
Yeah. That's probably what and then I got Kevin working on. I love that.
Yeah, he's tasked me with some experimental stuff to look into.
I love the Twisted Pretzel beer from Shock Top. When I was in college, it was like, it came out and it was great. We loved it. It just tasted like a liquid pretzel. And then they stopped making it. It was great. And then they stopped making it, and I got Kevin workshopping that on the homebrew seal.
Which is fun because I've never drank it. I have no idea what it tastes like.
Yeah,
So
so
you're just guessing at everything.
Yeah.
They don't make it anymore, right?
No. Well, so it's funny. We got a box from somewhere, like a return or something. It's literally the Twisted Pretzel case box.
we were talking about it on like Monday, and then on
we were
Tuesday we
looking
were
at
cleaning it up.
We were
and
looking
saw it.
at the date, and we think the date was from like 2019.
Yeah.
So but it was funny. It was we literally were in the garage, and we were like, that's it.
Yeah. I never heard of this beer. We talked about it, and literally 24 hours later, we were in the garage and we found the box of it. We're like, how
Is it like
how
an
could this
amber that they like?
Yeah, it
salt
was.
or something?
I took a picture of it. I think it says like a Belgian something with.
I didn't even know Shock Top did anything else other than
There's
just what Shock Top
There's
was.
a brewery seeds. Tony picked this beer up for me, but it's a kvass they did with pretzels.
Oh yeah.
And
Did you
it's
try it?
probably I haven't opened it yet. It's probably like not as. What are you waiting for? I don't know.
Quit cellaring things.
Should have brought it today.
But yeah, it says a Belgian style wheat ale brewed with spices and caramel malt and with artificial flavor added. So try to figure out how to do it without the flavor.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's me. I guess I'll let you.
I mean, I got a list. Of
I'm interested to
crazy
hear
things.
what Kevin's number one is, because I bet it's not dissimilar from mine.
Well, I mean, we've talked about the beer we've always wanted to brew together,
Yeah.
which is a dunkel. Like that's
man,
like
love
low
dunkels,
key
yeah.
my favorite style of beer. We find issues brewing lagers. I think we talked about it earlier before we were recording. About like it's just difficult with tank space and whatever.
Y'all
to
chose
find
alt beer over Dunkel.
because alt beer could be brewed. It's a hybrid. It could be brewed
We'll
quickly.
turn around a little
I think
quicker,
we'll get y'all else. We're gonna get the Dunkel into the schedule.
Alt beer was our dunkel methadone.
Yeah.
Like it was, it got us. It like got us through what we needed to get through.
Yeah. Scratches the itch enough for now.
Yeah, but Dunkel is one since I think like day one that I was here that
Yeah.
we talked about like what I think Cam asked me like what beer do you want to brew? Like I want to brew Dunkel. Let's do it.
The other one I really want to make, I mean, Dunkel was the one I was thinking. The other one I really want to make
I think we're on the same page with this one.
is Mexican lager.
I thought you were gonna say Schwarzbier.
See, and this is my problem having to run the operation.
I know, because they're all lagers.
Good idea, guys.
Yeah.
I'm like,
However,
so we'll get around.
Is there anything longer than a lager that we could keep in a tank? Because that's what I want to make next. Yeah.
Let's make two lagers at the same time.
Yeah.
Blend them together.
all those styles sound really good. Schwarzbier and Dunkel also sound really good.
Yeah.
I mean, Dunkels are fantastic.
They're so underrepresented. Like nobody makes a Dunkel. Great Central is a great Dunkel.
They have a great.
All
their German styles.
It's such an
love that they've
uncommon
started
style.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Modelo Negra is like one of the closest things you can buy like on a wide scale of a Dunkel. I don't know if
Does
they-
Dovetail have one?
Dovetail does one.
Did Double Clutch do a Dunkel?
I think so.
They do.
Yeah.
I've never had it, but they definitely do.
Oh, he's
They definitely do one.
Double Clutches. We had a lot of fun
yeah.
sitting and talking with them. That's probably the one place that Brandon and I went to, did an interview. We had 2 beers during it, and then we sat there afterwards for another like
2 hours.
2 hours, and we did same. We tried everything. All
Yeah,
the beers on
that's
the
a
menu.
place I need to make it up to. I haven't.
It's a great spot.
It's so
And
good.
the food
They're-
is
that's
food is
why you're-
fantastic.
You know, and you know, with the way prices are with things, I was, I'm not saying that it was expensive. I was like, okay, that's typical. It's high. They give you so much food that we thought, like when we were going to my brother-in-law's birthday, he was doing a sketchbook at Skokie. We stopped at Double Clutch first, and we were ordering. There's 4 of us, and we ordered like a whole bunch of random appetizers. And when everything came out, we were like, holy shit, this is way too much food. Like we ordered way too much, which is not a bad thing. But their food's really good. The atmosphere is awesome, and their beers are just amazing.
It's a great spot to go to. So my dad is a Northwestern alum, so we go to
there you go.
we go to Northwestern, and I'm an Illinois alum, so like whenever they play in Northwestern, we always go there. And that's like the last year that Double Clutch has been our spot. Go up there, like you said, the food is fantastic, beer's really good. They won a bunch of awards at GABF this last year. Well, we've met the guys.
Y'all
so
met
nice.
them. I've never met them. And then,
Great guys.
Yeah, we were sitting there at GABF, and they just kept rattling off Double Clutch. What?
It was
like,
funny.
I gotta get up there.
We were in the back yelling very loud for them when we were at GABF last year. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
they let us into the award ceremony, so we were screaming.
Yeah. They had stopped
Media
by-
passes, baby.
They had stopped by our tap room literally like the week before GABF, and then we were at GABF like a week later, and just double clutch. It was just, they're great guys. Happy to hear that they won.
And they weren't even there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were saying how they were being told like via text, like, "What's going on? What happened?" Oh. But yeah, I think they're Dovetail and Double Clutch, and I don't know of anybody else that has a Dunkel like that. That is a
Great Central
Great
brews
Central.
there
Great Central,
every so often, once a year.
They
Probably.
do their because Great Central does their they're primarily they do a lot of contract stuff, but they do their what do they call it, their standards series or whatever, where it's like they brew their BJCP standards, and obviously they're a German style brewery, so they do like they'll give you a Dunkel, you'll get a Hefeweizen, you'll get I drank their Weizenbach last night.
Oh man.
So they do like all of like the German BJCP styles, and it's just like to style.
Wow,
And their
that's
Dunkel, just like Dovetails, very
very good.
I love when those come out every year.
Yeah. Yes. Good.
I was going to say, just kind of steering the conversation, we were, before we started recording, we kind of walked into the back and we noticed pointed out a couple barrels that you guys got sitting back there.
Yeah.
So you said you had a couple empties too, so what are the plans? I think you said an Imperial Stout's in one of them?
Yeah, so Escalating Dares, which is our hodgepodge Imperial Stout. We've made it a couple times now, and first time we made it was Cam and I, and we were like going through it. It's like, all right, we got like a half bag of a bunch of malts of like a bunch of different, like German two-row, American two-row, like British pale malt, and we were like, what do we do with this? And we're like, Imperial Stout, throw it all in. And so when we realized that we were starting to have a bunch of partial bags that we just haven't used in a minute, we're like, all right, Imperial Stout time. So the fun thing about that is it changes a little bit. We have like a general kind of thing that we have going, but that beer will probably never be the same.
Sure.
Which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And then, so we put that in. I forget what barrels those were. They're,
We barrel age one beer a year, and we still can't remember what barrels.
Yeah, right.
we were supposed to try it. I think we're sitting at like 6 or 7 months, and we were supposed to try it Friday, and we didn't. We just the day got away from us.
Yeah.
So we got to try that here soon, just to kind of get the first step at it. I'd like to do more barrel age stuff. It's kind of one is space.
Yeah.
And two is like, I think if you're gonna do it, you really need to like
Do it
and
Have a full
Do it,
program.
like, build a
Commit.
reputation around
yeah,
it.
and
That's
like
what-
I think we kind of do it. We want to do it, so it's like we don't try to get ahead of ourselves. We're not trying to like bury ourselves in barrel aged beer.
Well, it's not a bad idea. I mean, what you guys have now, it's a couple barrels, and it's just something you throw on
Yeah,
tap.
we throw
and
it
it's
on.
Kind of a fun thing.
Yeah, we try to have one. My favorite thing is usually, this happened a lot right when we opened. The number of people who would walk in here within weeks of us opening, asking if we had anything barrel aged.
Do you know how this works?
I don't know if they did. It's like, that takes like years.
I got this homebrew I did a couple years ago. You
and
want to try it?
like our grand opening signs are still up. So no, we don't have anything barrel aged.
But yeah, so I mean, we try and do something. I'd say we try to have 1 or 2 beers going, and then probably about every 6 months we try and put something in just to have it rotating.
Sure.
Where, like we said a couple of us have said like the reputation around it. We're not Goose Island in Bourbon County, so people don't necessarily come here for that. But we want to have that option. One of my favorite things that I try to do, I love curating like our tap list. I try and get it like it seems like it's all random, but we're very precise. Like in our conversations we have like Monday morning brewery conversations when we're talking about new beers. We do look at the tap list and we're like, all right, like what holes do we need to fill? We try to make sure we kind of have something on for everyone. It's impossible, but like
I don't know, man. It's pretty.
But I
right
think
now it hits everything.
We try to not, have a lot of like. I say this. At times we have 5 IPAs on, but we try to. but when we do that, we try to have like a West Coast, a session, a hazy, and a double. So we try and try to not go. Yeah, we try to go. We try to be even in that. We try to be very like spread out.
Well, I was gonna say, how many beers do you guys have on tap right now? Like,
it's 15
and a seltzer.
So, and 5 of those are IPAs, and then the rest are all.
I mean everything.
Got, brown ale, ESB, a cream ale, a Kolsch, a sour.
I'd say it's more diverse
than.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
99%.
You do a very good job.
Yeah.
I mean, it does hit. I think there's enough here or you guys have enough on tap that a mixed group of friends who maybe like two of us come in and we know what we're getting into, and there's other 2 friends who are just like, I don't really drink, like the
Craft beer.
Yeah, craft beer. Yeah. You easily find something, at least 2 beers up there for them to drink and enjoy.
Well, our number one seller in the tap room is almost always like if it's our German Pils or whatever our lightest option is, both in color and ABV, almost always.
Yeah,
especially that or hazy.
That or hazy. Yeah, hazy will take that spot every once in a while, but
fucking hazy.
people like their crispy boys.
Yeah,
I don't disagree.
I don't disagree either, because especially if they're going to be here for 2 or 3 beers, maybe beer 1 is 6.5% hazy, but beers 2 and 3 are going to be lighter.
Yeah.
So we get a lot. It's almost always the most that we sell in a day, especially on like a busy Saturday or something.
And then, so that's the tap room. Can I ask, so distribution-wise, are you guys self-distro? Do you have a distributor? What's your footprint?
We are self-distributing. Yeah, our footprint is City Chicago and kind of the nearer suburbs.
And are you guys wanting to expand down the line? Or is that like
it's a good question. When we opened this place, the craft beer industry was in a very different spot. And the guys I learned from, were big into like spreading it far and wide, at 3 Nosh, and they've done a great job of that. The timing of the industry for them worked in their favor as far as that. The craft beer industry, as more breweries open, it seems to be becoming more localized. So we're kind of opened at a good time where we could have still picked our fate, whether or not we wanted to grow and become a big regional thing, which was our plan originally. But now I think with just how many breweries there are opening up, it's harder to open a brewery now and then, be really present around the entire Great Lakes region, right? Because all those areas you're trying to get into also have great breweries that are making great beer, and people want beer from down the street. It's very different from wine in that there are certain regions around the globe that everyone wants wine from.
Yeah.
Beer's not like that. Historical, sure, people like their German beers and their English beers and stuff like that. But when it comes to like craft breweries, people want their beer from down the street. It's something that they can hold on to as like with some local pride. So, we're planning on making around 1,200 barrels this year. We're still a small brewery. Yeah. And we have barely scratched the surface in the city, let alone in the nearby suburbs. So I think our plan is to keep things pretty local for the time being. We can build a great little small business.
Sure.
Yeah. There's still pockets of the city that we haven't even.
We have no presence. Yeah,
because
exactly.
we can only deliver so much. We're trying to grow, not exponentially to a point. We're trying to steadily grow. To make sure that we can keep up.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to get into a point where we make a bunch of beer, we distribute it to 300 places, and then they all run out, and we don't have enough to keep it.
Right.
So it's
draft lines are hard.
Yeah, and then there's draft lines, which is another thing, because every bar only has so many draft lines, and there are a ton of breweries in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so even when you get one, and even when a bar likes you, you still rotate.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a consistent draft line, especially as a newer brewery.
We're not self-distro.
We're not Half Acre. We're not Rev. Like a lot of those breweries are always going to have a tap line. we got to fight with. I mean, just in this
100
area,
other breweries.
yeah.
Literally.
We got On Tour, just in like, that's the thing. In our immediate vicinity, you have On Tour, Forbidden Root, all the breweries at District Brew Yard, and then, so that's just here.
Yeah.
If you want hyper local in West Town,
3-block walk.
So you're looking at like your West Town, but then you got the breweries in West Town, and then you got like Ukrainian Village, which I'd say those breweries are all competing there. Well, that's just that part of Chicago.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. There's a ton of, it's hard.
A lot of competition.
Yeah.
For sure. But it's good. Keeps everyone honest.
Yeah.
Well, that's the nice thing about having, starting as a tap room and not just a brewery that's, cranking out beers to just put on the shelves.
Yeah.
Is that you get, which is why you said earlier, you don't want to close your tap room for anything.
I hate it. I think there's still, craft beer industry is at an inflection point, I think, as it's grown so much over the last 10, 15 years. But I still think that, there's room for locally producing kind of taproom centric breweries, and I think all the data we see from all the brewing industry reports suggest that there's, if you want to make a nice place to be to drink beer, a physical location, there's still plenty of room for that.
I think more people look to go to a tap room than to a bar these days. At least that's the way it seems. Like, there's always going to be neighborhood bars that probably that people like to go with your friends or whatever. But yesterday was the first time I went out for beers, and it wasn't a brewery or a tap room. We ended up at Beer on the Wall, and and that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
It's a can shop and getting to try different beers. But any other time, I end up at a tap room, and I feel like that's the best way to keep your customers and to be able to have your brand out there without having to worry about overextending yourself, like you guys said.
It's definitely been the most, when you look at it, you talk to people, the most successful model is if you can sustain yourself in the tap room and then kind of slowly start to distribute.
Yeah.
That's kind of what everybody is like. Because first of all, your margins are just better.
First things first.
It's insane. So if you can keep that and then slowly start distributing out and out and out, and then you got to build that infrastructure out too. But
and that's a good segue for another question I had was, you guys, I feel like you guys are like,
you're saying it's a good segue. We'll be the judge of that. We'll be the judge of that. You haven't been on an episode for like a month.
So I feel like you guys sort of have taken grasp of that dog-friendly brewery in the city, and I know you guys have your dogs on the glasses. There's dogs on the T-shirts. Everything. Is that a marketing choice? Do you guys have a background with dogs?
So,
where does that come from?
First, I'll say
good segue.
Great question. I was going to say B segue. Great A question, B segue.
He's right, actually. I was trying to be nice.
The dog thing. We're just dog people. We love dogs. I think
you got 3 dog owners right here.
everyone here's got a dog. So many of our staff has dogs. I think we just put up a post recently on social, just all the dogs and cats of Midwest Coast Brewing Company, and there's a ton. And we knew that we're allowed to have dogs in here. We don't have a customer facing kitchen or anything like that, so dogs are allowed, and we love dogs, and we partner up with various dog rescues around the city.
Awesome.
And to do events and stuff like that. So we're just dog people, and it has turned out to be a great marketing aspect as well. It's, we, as far as the beer goes, we're definitely known for being a good classic style brewery. But as far as our tap room goes, especially people who are not craft beer people, that's what we hear all the time, is that we're it's amazing how dog friendly we are. So that's kind of where it came from. And the dog on the glass, that's the dog I had growing up, which was Maverick, who was a really dumb, big lab mutt, 85-pound lab mutt that we had for 15 years, 14 years, whatever it was. Growing up.
Labs are the best.
He was an idiot,
Yeah.
but he was great.
I said
he was
that
the best dog
my
ever.
cousin had a black lab, and I was like, he's the biggest, dumbest, best dog in the world.
Labs are either leading the charge, hunting down terrorists in caves in Syria, or
Idiots.
Yeah, idiots.
But lovable idiots.
Yeah, lovable
They're the
idiots.
kindest
Yeah, they're the
dogs,
best.
yeah.
Well, I have 2 kittens, and we have a stroller for them because we're crazy at my house. So maybe I'll come by with them and keep it in the stroller.
We've had some cats.
Yeah,
we've had cats.
Oh my God, this
Yeah.
might be the one brewer I can like Laura.
Fair warning, there will be a lot of dogs.
Yeah, they're fine. The cats have come in kind of like as we're walking. We really do take them on walks. Like we've come across dogs. The first time I was like terrified. I'm like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna freak out? Is the dog gonna freak out? And both times it's just been like walk right by each other, and that was it. The cats were just like, oh okay, cool. They know nothing else. I mean,
we've had cats in here for sure.
Something to think about. I like this. See that? So now I feel better about your segue because I got to bring in something else.
B+ segue now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is. I mean, we have a beer on right now that we're doing with one tail at a time. Like, we have a rotating list. I mean, Cam can go into it. We have a rotating list of beers named after regulars, like regulars,
Dog
regulars.
Mostly our dog regulars.
Yeah.
So Ollie Have Another right now is our current dog beer, where we have regulars who their dogs come in all the time, and like we'll meet with them and say, hey, do you want to do a single? Basically doing like not a smash series, but like a single hop series where. I think we're on like 4 or 5 at this point.
At least, yeah.
Yeah, you name it. We'll let the parents of the dog come in, name like a single hop they want to. We'll do hop smelling things and like figure out what hop they want to do, and we'll release a beer named after their dog with like a single hop. And so like right now we have Ollie Have Another. We have another one in the plans. Like yeah.
Well, I will start coming in more often with my cats until my cats have a damn beer.
It's funny you say that. Our general manager Ryan told me a story this week that some guy was in here, I think Wednesday or Thursday this week, and
I told you this.
So you told me the story. Yeah, but Ryan told you the story, or you?
No, I saw it happen.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
It was a conversation. What?
This guy came in and our bartender was telling him about the dog series, and he was like, "Oh my God, I have a dog. You should name a beer after my dog." And it was like, you first time you've ever been in here, you didn't even bring your dog, so like
you got to earn that.
You got to put in the.
You got to put in the.
But you said it when I told you the story on Friday. You were like, they put in the hours and they probably paid for the beer itself. The owners have they're all mug. It's part of our mug club thing for the most part. All those people have been mug club members, so
that's really cool.
That's been kind of how we've gone about it. So, and we have people asking when their dogs get to go next. I think we have 2 more planned that gets us to 8, and then we got to choose we got to kind of choose our next 4.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's fun. Do you not let them pick like the same hop then, or do you? Like,
so actually we did do. We actually are back-to-back Citra, but the first one was more of like a Citra Pale Ale. And then this. So basically, we kind of do single hop. We let them come in. We let them smell a bunch of hops, choose what they want, and then we kind of like we stick Pale Ale, IPA, West Coast, or hazy. And so we kind of let them kind of choose like what they drink.
That's nice
because
those options.
Our last beer, she doesn't like hazies and I guess no. We've kind of done a little bit of everything, but she wanted
to about every style.
Yeah.
With the single hop though.
Yeah. And so she's like hazies. She's like, I don't know what it is. I just don't like them. We're like, well, what do you? I'm like, well, what do you drink? And she's like, I love like when you guys do pale ales. And we're like,
and she wanted something sessionable.
Yeah. So we did a 4.5% kind of pale ale Citra beer and
moved quick.
Yeah. And so
I
think all those beers have moved really well because our bartenders because they're in here all the time. Our bartenders, when people order it, they're like, "Oh, Ollie have another," and they're like, "Ollie's over there." Yeah. And so people are like, "Oh, I get to meet the dog that the beer is named after," because they are big regulars of ours. So,
how many of our bartenders? Like everyone in the breweries, like either dog owner or cat owner.
Yeah.
We're all
pet friendly place.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah!
And are you guys like? This might be another segue. Are you guys big sports fans? 'Cause I know you have like golf.
A+ segue.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean we are. I mean if you're looking specifically at like Free from the Tee, which is our cream ale, that beer we talked about making a cream ale for a while.
That was our sales rep. He just badgered us until we made it.
Yeah, Matt wanted to sell a cream ale for a long time, and we eventually got around to making one. It's a crushable golf course beer, right? So I mean, you have 8, light beers on
Yeah.
a golf course, but we all suck at golf. So, if you hit 1 OB, you're hitting 3 from the tee. So that's why we named it in kind of a golf theme.
I like that.
Yeah, and Belgian base hit. I think I remember seeing is the Belgian base hit the canned beer that's baseball beer?
No, that's Hanging Curve.
That's Hanging Curve.
Yeah, man.
That
I've
was.
seen that.
You weren't on the episode when we drank that, so it's okay.
No, it wasn't.
Hanging Curve. Tim named that one. It's because it's a blonde ale.
Delicious.
Because it's crushable,
Yeah,
like
it
a Hanging
was.
Curve. Yeah.
We were trying to appease the White Sox craft cave,
Nice.
and we're like, what if we gave you guys a baseball themed beer that's light? And they're like, they loved it. And we're like, great.
It's selling well this year.
Yeah,
so
that's good, yeah.
So if you're at
The cell or
Sox Park.
Sox Park, I don't know.
Guaranteed rate.
I'm not-
It's always Comiskey to me.
If you're at where the White Sox play,
If you're at that place,
which I do love their craft beer.
yeah.
there.
So
Yeah, craft cave
we
is
got
awesome.
the Hanging Curve blonde ale in there.
Yeah.
yeah, that was on our spring beer episode. Random spring beers that we wanted to try episode, and that was on there. It was really good. I had that one. He didn't. It was very good. Really liked it.
Nice.
Dan, did you have any more segues you wanted to get to, or I mean, sports?
Do you have a segue
dogs?
here?
Yeah. Did you ride a Segway?
I wish. No.
Well, if is there anything else you guys wanted to throw out there about what's going on here or
What's coming up?
I was
Yeah,
going to
what's
bring up the
going
Mug Club, but you kind of brought it up. I don't know if you guys want to reach that.
You guys don't Mug Club stuff.
I mean, we love it.
Yeah.
Do it.
It's funny. We're pretty close with a lot of Mud Club members. I actually got invited to one of their weddings. Me and my girlfriend went to one of their weddings.
That's awesome.
They're actually good friends of ours. They were blowing up my phone earlier, trying to hang out outside of the brewery. We're like we're trying to do something today. We haven't seen them in a minute, but our Mud Club members are great. Actually, Rick and Emily just got another puppy.
Yep.
So we've got so I'm sure that'll be a future dog beer. We already did one for their dog Boss.
They were the first.
They were the first.
Yeah.
Resting Boss Face. It's probably one of them. All of our dog name beers have been pretty good. But
Yeah.
no, our Mud Club's been great. We do. A lot of these guys helped us get through the pandemic. They drank here a lot by these windows opened up in the cold.
Yeah.
So
Even cooler.
yeah, they're great people. We drink. I get stuck here a lot. I get off work and there's a couple of Mud Club members at the bar, and the next thing I know, I'm 3 beers deep, and I'm like, shit.
I gotta go, guys.
All of our significant others have gotten the text, "Hey, I'll be home soon," and then 45 minutes go by. It's like, "Oh, sorry, so and so."
Yeah.
Insert like Mug Club member friend.
Showed up.
So and so
It's
was here.
always-
We had to have a beer with them.
It's like they come in. It's like they come in shifts. It's like I'm sitting here, and then Chase and Joe walk in, and then Rick and Emily walk in as I'm about to leave, and then it's like can you
The
guys-
longest goodbye.
Yeah, I'm like I can't get out of here. And they bring their dogs, and then I want to play with their dogs, and then I go home, and my dog is very upset that the dogs.
I think that says a lot about the type of atmosphere that you guys have here and the community that you've already kind of built around your tap room.
Yeah.
And that's awesome to hear. And for someone who's only been here for the first time, I already feel like I'm ready to come back as soon as possible. So
Our front house staff is excellent. They do a great job making people feel really welcome here. It's great.
Yeah. And you guys even did like kids weekends and stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, we're doing like family day stuff. I mean, that's another kind of underrepresented group of people who want to drink beers, and they will drink beers at 9 a.m. on a Saturday because they can get out of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
super cool idea.
Yeah.
Well, unless you guys got anything else you want to say, or Brandon, you, Dan, over there, Segway guy. That's it. No, well, thank you guys for sitting down with us today. We really appreciate it. We had a lot of fun. It was fun to finally come here and drink some more beers. Brandon, love you, man.
Love you too, bud.
Dan, welcome back.
Thank you.
See you in a month.
Thanks for having me.
And actually, we'll put your website up on this as well. So Midwest Coast here in Chicago. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
This has been The Malting Hour. Be sure to follow us on all social media by searching The Malting Hour and at themaltinghour.com. You can also follow us individually on social media. Brandon can be found on Instagram as BMDub81, on Twitter, BDub81, and on Untapped as BDubDrinksBeer. Tony can be found on Instagram and Untapped under Ace of Help Chicago, on Twitter, The Ace of Help Chicago. Clark can be found as Clarkowski on all three. Dan can be found on Instagram as hip__hops and hip hops on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, like, and rate the show on your preferred podcast listening platform. Until next time, cheers from all of us at the Malting Hour.